Are Americans' homes better than European homes? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly that, as an American living in Europe. I'm going to cover subjects from the microwave to the dishwasher to the fridge. Basically everything that you need for a civilized living. So let's get right into it. This is my home, away from home. It is tiny. American homes are big. European homes are quite small. If you look at this apartment, which was a two-bedroom apartment, basically it has this much room. So after you enter, you have 470 square feet of living space, but this will qualify as a studio in the United States. A small home usually means a small bed. Long gone are days when I had a California king bed. This is one of the biggest beds that you could get from a store without being custom made in Romania. It's 160 centimeters this way and 200 centimeters that way. So if you're a little bigger American and your wife is a little bit bigger, a bed like this will work, but it won't give you the comfort that you have from a California king. Another luxury you're not going to see very common in a European home, it's a walk-in closet. Yes, there's some custom homes that were built with it, but most of the homes have this kind of closets. They're part of the wall, part of the furniture, just big closets that you open up and you have all your stuff in there. I hope mine is organized. It is. I don't know. Having a lot of stuff, it is limited by the room that you have in the house, so you will save some money because you will not be able to fit all the crap that we buy in the United States, to be honest. What about the big American living rooms? Well, in Romania, that's not really a thing. Until recently, a three-bedroom apartment in Romania didn't have a living room. It was not a concept. So if you really looked at it, if it was a three-bedroom apartment with a kitchen, that meant it had three bedrooms where you could sleep in a kitchen. There was no living room. So in my case, because I built this apartment around me, I have a living room area, but because I'm still a European, I don't really use it even in the United States. I don't really live in my living room. Therefore, I never really put a couch or anything over here. It's kind of like an open space for whatever. I do have a big screen TV, which I borrowed from the American culture, which I really like. I do have my computer over here, and I do have my computer chair, but most of the time I spend around here or around my island. This is also a feature that Europeans don't really have or understand. As an American, if you ask me, a kitchen island is a must. It just feels nice to have the room to cook, even though Americans don't really cook, but just to have the room to put your stuff around. As you can see, my kitchen is quite big. I've made it big because I wanted to have room when I go cooking. Europeans usually have very small kitchens and they don't have islands. Islands are a piece of furniture that doesn't exist in European kitchens. What they do is they have these big tables where they could invite the entire family with 6, 7, 8 chairs that usually ends up being in the middle of one of the rooms. One of the missing pieces that I could not find for my puzzle when I built my kitchen was above a stove microwave. That's not a concept that they have here in Europe. They do have microwaves, like the one that I have over here, but it's a tiny one. This is one of the biggest ones that you could find, and even though they have a little bit bigger ones, they are incorporated into the furniture, but not underneath the cabinet, not the way that we have them in the United States. Therefore, if you have a stove like I have over here, it's just a cabinet above, and there's no cabinet that you could buy unless you custom made it to fit a microwave, and even if you do, you cannot find a microwave that will fit. Remember, they're using 220 versus 110 in the United States, so you couldn't even import one. The microwave over here packs a lot of power. This is also a grill. As you can see, it has this adapter over here. So they do pack a lot of smart power, but they're tiny. So if you want to fit a pizza in here from the United States, well, it won't fit. This is also a very simple display, so it doesn't have the normal numbers that we're used to. So if you want to choose like 7 seconds or 23 seconds to cook something, you can. You either have a choice of 10 seconds, 1 minute, or 10 minutes. So it is kind of like missing something. Because the homes are smaller, also you have less countertop space. A small cooktop, it's very normal in Europe. Even though they have room for two, kitchens are smaller and a lot of times you can't really fit one in the kitchen. I have a bigger stove at the bottom, which is the only size that you could find. It's incorporated, But the cooktop, I chose to have a small one. I don't really cook that much, but my American stove is huge compared to this one. What about the fridge? It's an important part of the American culture. Well, in Romania, even though you find side-by-sides, they are a little bit smaller and they don't have ice makers. And the ones that have ice makers cost 3 times as much. And when I say 3 times as much, I mean I bought this one for $300. This is a $300 fridge. It has fridge on top, freezer at the bottom. But if you want one that is side by side and it makes ice, well, it will cost you well over $1,000. So you see, it takes a lot of room, which luckily I have in this apartment, but most apartments don't. Therefore, their fridges have evolved taller, not wider, because there's no room. And if you really want ice in Europe, what you have to do is you have to get an ice machine. As an American, if you like ice, you better ask for ice in Europe, because you have to ask 3 or 4 times before you're gonna get it. Ice makers are quite rare, and if you go to the restaurant and you ask for a soda, you're gonna get a soda, and that's it. What about heating a European home? Well, this is the most dangerous part of the home, because this is a gas furnace that heats up water that goes through the walls and heats up these elements that we have on the wall. This is quite dangerous because in the United States we have this in the attic. If there's a gas leak or something like that, it will blow up the roof of your house, but you might survive. Where here in Europe, they like to have them here inside. Now they do pack a lot of technology considering the size of the unit, because in the United States they're as big as a car into your attic. These are tiny and small, but they only produce heat and hot water. They do not produce cold air like our furnaces that you could switch them from one to another. These are quite smart, but I don't really like it having it in the house. Just for safety reasons, they have all kinds of gas alarms and other things that are mandatory to be installed, which makes sense, but in the same time, this makes me nervous. Kitchen furniture is modular and it is quite nice. I was surprised what I was able to find in the local stores over here. This is a very, very shiny wood on the front, which is covered with some kind of a plastic. It's called MDF over here. And the shelves are made out of PAL, which is kind of like a laminated wood. You buy them modular, so you buy them in pieces and you arrange them the way that you want. Also in Romania, custom kitchens are very, very popular because labor is not as expensive in the United States. In Eastern Europe, you could get a custom kitchen built for quarter of the price. One bad thing about this modular furniture that you find in Romania is that nothing really fits. It feels like they don't really have a standard. So even though a dishwasher or a stove is 60 centimeters across, or 45 in my case because it's a slim unit, the depth, the height, all these things are kind of like decided randomly. So to be able to get a high countertop space, because I'm a tall guy, I had to buy this furniture which is a little bit taller. But then because it's a little bit taller, the dishwasher fit in here quite hard. As you can see, I have a border over here on top, which is basically how much room I had to leave so I could incorporate this one. In the United States, it feels like we have this thing kind of like figured out, where in Europe it's kind of like let's do it like Americans, but then nobody really has a standard, so everybody builds it their own size and way and depth, and you gotta pick very, very carefully what you're gonna fit in the furniture, let me put it that way. What about the sink? Do you love your sink in the United States? Do you love your garbage disposer in the United States, which seems to be very popular in homes? Well, here in Romania, if you want a garbage disposer, you have to go at the end of the world to be able to find one. I did find a sink that was able to accommodate one, and I was able to install it here at the bottom, but getting it and finding it was pure luck because I almost gave up. And then after a lot of struggles, I found an incinerator, which was only $46. Surprisingly, it was actually very, very cheap because nobody buys it, because nobody knows what it is, because nobody uses it. And forget about having a switch to turn it on and off. I had to run my own wiring for it. But now I could get rid of stuff. Oh, that noise makes me happy. If you buy a home in Europe, air conditioning is not a standard. Even though here it can get quite hot, people just deal with it. And the hardest thing to deal with it is having that temperature not controlled. So your temperature in your house varies very widely from, you could wake up in the morning and have 70 degrees in the house to have 100 degrees by the time you go to bed. That is a huge difference that you have to tolerate and change clothes and drink colder things and beers and stuff just so you accommodate it. Installing an AC for me was a must, and I did find a split unit, which is the biggest unit you could find over here. The split ACs are quite easy to be installed. They're actually quite cheap because not a lot of people buy them. I paid $250 for this unit. I've installed it myself on this side of the wall, and then the compressor is on the outside. It uses 2 kilowatts, so that's I think in the United States a 2-ton, but it's nice for me as an American to have that climate control where I set my temperature to, 80s, and it keeps 80s throughout the day. Not 70s in the morning and 100 in the afternoon, and then in the middle of the night the 70s again. What about bathrooms? Bathrooms are important, right? Well, Romanian bathrooms are smaller, and I'm going to show you mine. Also, I was able to jam a washer and a dryer over here, but a lot of times you see the washer and the dryer in the kitchen, and I'm not joking. Like when I go to people's homes and I see the washer and the dryer in the kitchen, or the washer in the kitchen, it's just mind-boggling. You do your laundry where you eat, makes no sense, but they're limited as far as the space goes. When I designed this bathroom, I chose not to have a tub, only a shower. I did put a big shower in it. This is considered a big shower by Romanian or European standards. But I was able to fit the washer and the dryer stacked on the side, which was a big plus. As far as the washer and the dryer, well, first thing you have to get used to it in Europe is the brands. Holy smoke! This brand is called Candy. A brand like this will never fly in the United States. So with a name like this, is it good? Well, it's quite good. It has Wi-Fi and you can control it with your phone and you can do all these other things, but it's not very big. So if you come to Europe and you want to wash your blanket in here, well, it will barely fit or maybe not even fit at all. Mine doesn't fit, so I have to find different ways to wash my blanket. They do have bigger washers over here, but they're not very popular and they cost a lot of money. So when you could buy one of these for $300 and a big washer costs you $800 just so you could wash your blanket twice a year, it is quite a weight to pull, to be honest. What about the dryer? Here things get really weird. Maybe the washer does not have a hot water pipe to it, so it has to do all its cycles differently and it takes a little bit longer to wash things because it has to heat up water. The dryer, it's a completely different story. The American dryers are absolutely amazing. Yes, we waste a lot of electricity by pushing hot air through a pipe that comes out on top of our house or on the side. These are all built around efficiency. These are A++ efficiency, and they have a heat pump built in and it works completely different. First thing you need to know, it takes forever to dry your clothes compared to the American dryers. Also, they have 1,000 programs over here for cotton with linen, for all kinds of synthetics and shirts, and holy crap. On my washer and on my dryer in the United States, I have normal and heavy. That's all I use. Normal wash, heavy wash. Turn the knob on, put the clothes in there, and it happens. Here, you have all these things and they don't have a sensor dry. Surprisingly, in the United States, our dryers have the sensor dry. You put the clothes in there, when they get dry, it stops. These, no, you gotta choose the right program, and the water accumulates in this container, and you have to throw it away at the end. So, quite different, I have to say. Showers are small, and I know this camera might not make it look like that way, but this is the biggest shower I could find, and this is quite small compared to what I'm used to in the United States. It works really well as far as like fitting me as a person, but I've seen some big Americans that would not be able to close the door once you get in here, so just keep that in mind. What about the toilets? In the United States we have big people, and big people have big asses, and toilets in Europe are quite small. Small enough that when you sit on it, your ding-dong sometimes touches the bowl. And I'm not kidding, that cold feeling on your ding-dong, it's quite annoying. And yes, you could buy bigger toilets, but based on my calculations, the door would have not opened if I would have put a bigger toilet over here. So yeah, get used to a small toilet that you have to kind of aim not just with your front, but with your back too. What about that important piece of furniture in the United States, the TV? Well, we have TVs in Europe, and yes, they go on all kinds of sizes. Now don't get too excited when you go to the store and you see 150 centimeters TV, because it means that it's barely 65 inches. So just keep that in mind, that when you see 150 something, it's in centimeters. So when I first came and I saw 150 TV, I said, holy crap, only so $400? Yeah, it was small. But the TVs are TVs. They have different programming, different TV shows. But then streaming doesn't work either, because Netflix password from United States doesn't work over here. Amazon Prime from United States doesn't work over here because you're in Europe and there's like different regulations. So you have to buy a completely different account, and holy smoke, it's annoying. So what about the outside? Romanian patios are quite small. And I know you're looking at this one and say, holy crap, this is a huge patio. But no, Romanian patios are small. This just happens to be huge. This is huge even for Romanian standards. It's quite unseen, and my house is small because this patio is so huge. They've lost a lot of room by not building inside, but building the outside. But if you live in Vegas, a yard like that looks normal, because that's what a yard will look like in Vegas. That's a decent sized yard. This one is huge for Vegas, but maybe not huge for wherever you live, because there's some places in the United States that have acres and acres and acres of land. The landscape is beautiful, the weather, it's quite nice, I have to admit. Yes, it rains from time to time, but I've caught some really nice weather lately. So European summers are quite nice, and maybe that's why this is a special place. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed my European home tour. This is the home away from home, and when I'm gonna get to the United States after getting used to all these things over here, I'm sure everything is gonna feel huge, because it is. It is a nice home. I've built it kind of like the American style, with the island and all the hits, all the good stuff that I have in my Vegas home. I've built it over here. As I said, island, yes, the fridge has skimped a little bit on it, but I do have an AC. The bathroom, I made it that way so I have a washer and a dryer in there, and I don't have to have it in the kitchen or in the hallway or in some odd place on the balcony. The bed is as big as I could get. The TV I bought. The house, it's ready, and it's quite comfortable. A small home can be cozy, and I'm very, very comfortable over here. To be very honest with you, if I could find a place like this in the United States, I would totally buy it. There's only one problem. This in the United States doesn't exist. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think about this video. Vegas RoManiac, out.